Welcome to another day in the Matrix. Boy, do I have something special for you guys. I was not anticipating to make a full presentation of this decode, but it was just gem after gem after gem that I was uncovering, and I compiled it all together, and I said to myself, I need to make a presentation about this. This will be packed full of very valuable code information for you guys to utilize for your own investment thesis and wealth plan. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but this has really given me a lot of information about what to anticipate into the months of June and July. And I was sharing everything about the months of May and April now with you guys for pretty much over a half a year. We're well aware of these eclipses that are coming up, and I wanted to find a flaw in my thesis about mid to late May. So that's what motivated me to make this today, and I am so excited to share everything with you. This will be to expose the importance of the year that we're in right now as a crucial year for the development of CBDCs, those are central bank digital currencies, and how Elon Musk will be used to push this agenda in the Western world. And this will not be an Elon decode. It won't be primarily about him, but it will share a layer to this that I think is really important for you guys to allow in as a part of your own wealth plan and investment thesis, and to see where this is all going in the world stage. This will primarily be about Bretton Woods conference back in 1944 and talking about the World Reserve. So I was going to be calling this World Reserve Julius Decoded, because this character that you have in the middle of your screen, Julius Caesar, plays a big role in all of this by the code, but I thought that title would confuse people, so I decided to simplify it, World Reserve Decoded. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it. We're just going to start off with a quick disclaimer. This content is not financial advice. WatersAbove is not a financial advisor. This content is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research and use any materials in this content as entertainment and not financial investment, tax, or legal advice. Okay, here we are. The Bretton Woods Conference starting on July 1st through July 22nd of 1944. The Bretton Woods Conference, formerly known as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference, was to regulate the international monetary and financial order after the conclusion of World War II. This is just another way of saying globalism. Now, some of you might not like that word globalism. I'm just speaking to everyone here. Don't get too serious about the words. But this is just another way of saying across the board communism, socialism. That's what all of these post-World War II foundations and implementations of social order were all about anyways. But moving forward, the Bretton Woods system had the Bretton Woods Agreement on July 22nd of 1944, which led to the US dollar becoming the world reserve currency. Again, here we are. This is the World Reserve Decoded. So this Bretton Woods system plays into the origins of this concept. Now, here we have Julius Caesar, born in July. This month was named after him. And you can see by the code, currency equals 44. And Julius Caesar's birthday is July 12th. This is the 193rd day of the year, and 193 equals the 44th prime number. Then you have this key event tied to Julius Caesar called the Ides of March. We talked about it a couple months ago on my channel, and as well did some quick decodes on it, but that was March 15th. We've made it through that time frame. Here we are in early April, but we saw leading into Ides of March, we had that banking collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and a bunch of stuff go on, big pullback in the crypto market. Since then, we've rebounded. Things are looking great. But this was a key event for this whole decode, was this Ides of March, because it was Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC. So you're going to see a theme of the number 44 here. Again, he died in 44 BC, and the Bretton Woods Conference started on July 1st in 1944. July, Julius, currency equals 44. He's born on the 193rd day of the year, the 44th prime, dies by assassination in 44 BC. This was all tied to this individual. I'm going to prove it to you during this decode. So this year on July 22nd, 2023 will be 79 years since the Bretton Woods Agreement. This number 79 is very significant because it is the 79th element on the periodic table is gold. Again, this comes back to our theme of currency. So note 79 is the 22nd prime number, and we're going to be talking a lot about gold today in this decode. So on the day this event happened back in 1944, it was a Saturn day. And this year, July 22nd of 2023, also lands on a Saturn day. The Bretton Woods delegates took 21 full days to come to this Bretton Woods agreement, and you could see Saturn by the code equals 21. If you guys are even new to my channel, you've probably heard this utilizing gematria. From July 1st, which was also a Saturday, to July 22nd, which was a Saturday. So technically we can start this 79th anniversary on July 1st of 2023, a Saturday. Saturn plays a big role into all of this. As you're aware, Saturn is Satoshi Nakamoto, the mythology that brings blockchain to life. So July 3rd is the full moon, and this is where we're going to be getting into some of the other components of this decode. This July 3rd full moon lands on a Monday, which is a moon day. July 3rd, 2023 has a 53 date numerology. 53 is the 16th prime number. 1 plus 6 equals 7. This is getting back to the theme of the number 7 tied back to Saturn. Remember, Saturn day in Judaism, that's Sabbath day, that is the 7th day. And then on the 7th year, every 7 years is called the Shemitah. It is the 7-year cycle. All comes back to Saturn. That is the Saturn year, Saturn worship. And standard date numerology on this day is a 17, and 17 is your 7th prime number. So I'll be talking a little bit about this form of date numerology in today's decode because it's my preferred when it gets to a little bit more advanced decoding. And this will be including double digits. So just to quickly run through it, 7 plus 3 plus 20 plus 23 equals 53, and 53 is your 16th prime number. With the rules of numerology, you're going to reduce that further. 1 plus 6 equals 7. Then here you have 7 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 gives you 17. That is your 7th prime number. And it's the 79th anniversary since the Bretton Woods Conference started on July 1st. So in the Gregorian system, the way you would look at July 1st would be 1-7 internationally. Again, returning back to that date, 17, 7th prime, etc. And you can see by the code here in gematria, gold equals 17 in Chaldean cipher. The date this happened back on in July 1st of 1944 was a 71 date numerology. Again, the mirror of 17, all coming back to the same code. So revisiting the number 79, we were talking about gold being the 79th element. July 1st connects to September 18th, which will be the first full day after Jubilee. And that is this year we're talking about. That is 79 days. Amazing connection there to the Jubilee and Rosh Hashanah, again, utilizing the Hebrew calendar. And 77 days from Rosh Hashanah, which will be September 16th of 2023, connecting to the same date of July 1st. Now, world reserve currency by the code you can see down here equals 77. And I'm showing you here the dates connection, 77 days apart. From the first day of the 79th anniversary of Bretton Woods over to Rosh Hashanah. All about the sevens. Now you could also see Bretton Woods system gives you that 76, and Bretton Woods system from July 1st plus 76 days is the first day of Rosh Hashanah. And 9/15/2023 is also a 67 date numerology, so we're getting that mirror as above, so below. 9/15/23 is a 22 standard date numerology, and remember we were talking earlier about how it'll be 79 years since the Bretton Woods conference. 79 is the 22nd prime number. So we are having more connections here to Rosh Hashanah, or the end of Jubilee. This is stuff that I would have saved for my future decode called the end of the Jubilee, but I wanted to give it to you guys as early as possible. I wanted you to have this information now. So since it's the 79th anniversary of the Bretton Woods Agreement, 79 days before July 22nd equals May 4th. I'm looking at it in both directions now. And May 4th will be the day before the upcoming lunar eclipse. You could also see that world reserve currency and Bretton Woods system by the code both equal 271. They equal the same thing. And 271 equals your 58th prime number. Now, going over to the periodic table, shout out to Logan over at Decode Your Reality for influencing me to use that. You can see that the 58th element on the periodic table is Cerium, named after the Roman goddess of agriculture, Ceres. And the way you could look at this is that is just the divine feminine aspect of Saturn. Saturn being the god of agriculture as a so-called male aspect, and then you would have the other polarity being Ceres. Also, that would be Demeter, but we don't want to go too far down that right now. So here's a very important layer to add onto all of this, which is the Nixon shock. And if you guys have been following my work for any length of time, you know I've referred to this a lot because I've started my channel in 2021, and that was the 50th year anniversary of this Nixon shock. And I talked about it a lot in regards to the Shemitah because this Nixon shock was all based around that Shemitah and the Jubilee. So let's break this down a little bit more for those of you that are new. The Nixon shock ended the Bretton Woods system. So everything that we talked about earlier, it's no longer in play because of this Bretton Woods system, except we still have the US dollar as the world reserve, but with one important change. And this Nixon shock ended the Bretton Woods system and terminated the convertibility of the US dollar, which is the world reserve, to gold. So this year on August 15th of 2023, it will be the 52nd anniversary since the Nixon shock. When you go back to my Year of the Rabbit Decoded, you'll know how important that number 52 is. Rabbit in basic English ordinal gematria equals 52. Now, we're in the year of 2023 during this Year of the Rabbit, and Nixon equals 23 by the code. We're in the Hebrew year of 5,783, 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 23. And if you go back and watch my YouTube video that I just released, you'll hear me talking about this 23 connected to this year a lot. So August 15th is the date of the Nixon shock. It is also the 227th day of the year. 227 is your 49th prime number, and 49 is 7 squared. So 7 times 7. And this comes full circle back to Jubilee. The Nixon shock was leading into the Shemitah year of 5733, which was the 49th year in that cycle and leads to the last Jubilee we had in 1973. This is what I've been comparing us to a lot lately, the environment of the early 70s with hyperinflation. So here we are 50 years later in this Jubilee of 2023. And note something here, how from 1971 connected to 1944, which were the Bretton Woods Conference and the Nixon shock, they were 27 years apart. Currency equals 27, and that's what this was all about. Basically taking the convertibility of the US dollar from gold and this turning it into a lethal fiat. Now, August 15th leads into the day leaving 137 days in the year. And if you've been following my work for any length of time, you know the power of this 137 because it is the 33rd prime number. And Richard Nixon equals 137 by the code. You can see that down here. And let's go back one more slide, and you see here how it happened in 5733. Remember, we just had Super Bowl 57. These 57s are really powerful, but that 33 is huge, tied to Richard Nixon equaling 137, the 33rd prime. He was also the 37th president, and 137 is just the number 37 with emphasis, with that 1 in front of it. Another thing that I learned from the great Decode Your Reality. You could also perceive this 37 as 3 sevens or 777. That's your jackpot number. This guy was selected, not elected, to be president at this time to fulfill this purpose. The Nixon shock. This was all by design. Now, the reason President Nixon was so important is because the Nixon shock ended the Bretton Woods system, as I talked about earlier, terminating the convertibility of the US dollar to gold. So there is our big event in August. Now, I'm forecasting this into August of this year. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, if you take from August 15th this year until the last day of Jubilee, September 17th of 2023, it equals 33 days, just like I was talking about all these 33 connections earlier. So remember, August 16th, the day after the Nixon shock, is the 137 days left in the year. Again, the 33rd prime. I mean, how many 33s can we talk about here? This is the day after the Nixon shock. So powerful. So, big gem. This is a connection between the Bretton Woods Conference and the Nixon shock, and it was by me looking at the longitude and latitude of Bretton Woods, Connecticut, where they had this agreement, where they had this conference at Washington Hotel. And you can see right here that the coordinates were 44 degrees north and 71 degrees west. How mind-boggling is this? The Bretton Woods Agreement was in 1944 and it was terminated in 1971. That is the craziest find of all time. Like, just blows my mind. And remember, Julius Caesar died in 44 BC. The month of July was named after him. That's the month when this Bretton Woods Conference took place. That's when it started, right there on July 1st. So this is a quote directly from Wikipedia. The Bretton Woods system required countries to guarantee convertibility of their currencies into US dollars to within 1% of fixed parity rates, with the dollar convertible to gold bullion from foreign governments and central banks at 35 US dollars per troy ounce of fine gold. You see that number 35, just like Julius Caesar by the code, equals 35. You see those 3 8s right there? 3 8s, 888 is 38. Gold equals 38. I talked about that a lot on my last Red Pill podcast. So this is an event that I haven't heard about before, but I decided to go down the rabbit hole further, and it's called the Jamaica Accords. So revisiting this 77 days from Rosh Hashanah, 9/16/23, and world reserve currency being 77. This was from the prior slide, and you're going to see these 77 connections here. So that, again, a direct quote from the Wikipedia page. The Jamaica Accords 1976 were a set of international agreements that ratified the end of the Bretton Woods monetary system completely. The Accords also made provisions for financial assistance to developing countries representing the group of 77 member countries to compensate for lost earnings from the export of primary commodities. An amendment was made in 1978 to allow the creation of special drawing rights described as a low-cost line of credit for developing countries. Again, another way of saying global control and globalism. Socialism, Bolshevism, communism, Marxism. It's the same. It's all the same. So between 1976 and 1978 would be the year 1977. This is the logo, by the way, of the 77 member countries. 77. Wow. Lots of sevens here, guys. And you see the flag of Jamaica has this X. I don't want you to forget about that, because that X will start coming up later in this decode. But don't forget about that flag. So revisiting July 1st of 2023 is 79 years since the Bretton Woods Agreement. Gold equals the 79th element on the periodic table, and that'll be your 22nd prime. July 1st connects to September 18th, which is the first full day after Jubilee by 79 days. This means that from July 1st of 1944, the date that the Bretton Woods Conference started, to this September 18th of 2023, officially when Jubilee is over, it'll equal 79 years and 79 days. Now, let's go even deeper to the actual atomic mass of gold, equaling 196. And the 196th day of the year is July 15th, which will be a Saturn day, and this would be during the Bretton Woods Conference timeframe. So just consider that there may be more hidden in this than we could imagine. This shows me that July 15th could be important this year. So let's consider the zodiac timeframe, astrological signs, and some of that stuff, because it will matter for our code. And any astrologers in the community, if you want to add more to this, feel free to in our Discord. It would be welcomed. So you could see here in sidereal, we have Gemini will be from June 16th through July 16th. And then you have tropical Cancer, June 22nd through July 22nd. You can see by the code Cancer equals 44, currency equals 44. There's your crab for Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The full moon on July 3rd will be in Capricorn during that time. That is just lunar astrology. And that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Again, returning back to what I was saying earlier, all about Saturn worship. Now, Capricorn by the code equals 52 in full reduction and 97 in English ordinal ciphers. 97 equals your 25th prime number. 52, 25, that's your mirror, as above, so below. Just like rabbit equals 52 and 25. We're in the year of the rabbit. The rabbit symbolism comes back to the moon. Cancer ruled by the moon, that makes it a very important time frame. Keep this stuff in mind, guys. So now we're going to get super esoteric, and this is stuff that I'm going to be sharing even more in a breakdown on my Gematria Mastermind course, or my Decoding Mastermind is what I'm calling it. And for those of you that want to learn more about decoding, you're really going to want that. That's going to be a game changer, building a foundation of answering so many of those questions that I receive on a daily basis about how to decode and how to actually have rhyme and reason and meaning behind these numbers and letters and all of these symbols. So this is going to be like kind of a little taster of something that I'm going to be sharing in that Decoding Mastermind course. But you have here the Royal Arch. And you can see 1, 2, 3, your fourth sign being Cancer in both directions. So that's the sign of Cancer. It's right over here. And hate to break it to people, but it's just your yin yang. It's your symbol of symmetry, balance. Okay? So you have 7 zodiac signs in this Royal Arch, counting from left to right and to the center, which is Cancer. This is your capstone. You have that centerpiece, and it's in your 4th position, both directions. Cancer is also the 4th astrological sign in the zodiac, allegedly, according to their number system that they use. But the point here is that it's shown to us through masonry. So the capstone of this Royal Arch is Cancer, a symbol of symmetry, balance, structure. Cancer is associated with the summer solstice. Solstice, sol equals sun, tied to currency, gold. Precious metal associated with the sun, gold. It makes sense why they choose July to do the Bretton Woods Conference, just with what I'm sharing with you right now. You can see Cancer equals 44, currency equals 44. 44, again, balance. It's a power number. So the Bretton Woods Agreement was on July 22nd. The Nixon shock was on August 15th. You measure 22 days in between these two key events, from July 23rd to August 14th, and there's your 44. You have your 22 right there, and you have 22 days in between these events. 22, 2 times, is 44. Both of these key events happening in sidereal Cancer. So Cancer is everything when it comes to this, and I believe it adds a very important layer onto this decode. Sidereal Cancer is between July 17th through August 16th. See, Cancer equals 44, as I showed you earlier. The first event happening in July, which will be your Bretton Woods Agreement. July is Julius Caesar, and just some side material here. Julius Caesar died in 44 BC, born in July. Now you have your second event happening in August, which will be your Nixon shock, and that is named after Caesar Augustus. In reverse, Caesar as the last name, Caesar as the first name, and Caesar Augustus died in August. Julius Caesar named after July named after him, I should say, born in July. August died in August. Amazing. As above, so below. This is just code. These people are probably not even real, by the way. They're just player characters that the New World Order gives you to make you feel like these people had power and they existed, but ultimately, it's all just his story. His story. We're going through this, though, as a decoder to share why the markets, economy, wars, geopolitical events happen when they do. This is very important. It adds even more of essence behind astrology as a whole, being able to decode the symbology, etc. So let's go a little bit into the etymology here. Caesar is just C, and you have your C, like currency. It's water vibes, water element. So let's just keep it real here. It is current Caesar. That is what this is all about. It's the world reserve current Caesar. Currency. It's all about these. It's all about the Holy Roman Empire. So Caesar still rules the world through currency. Current Caesar. So let's get into some more 44 connections. If your mind hasn't been blown already, let's keep it going. Allegedly, today, as I'm filming this, on April 11th of 2023, Twitter is now X Corp. Twitter Inc. no longer exists. This is some of your court ruling file stuff. So April is the 4th month in the Gregorian system, today being the 11th day. 4 times 11, 44. Elon was in a bid for taking over Twitter back in October of 2022 for $44 billion. This guy is all coded into the 44s and everything we've been speaking about thus far about this number 44. And you're going to see how this whole move with Twitter is part of a much bigger plan. So Elon Musk became the owner and CEO of Twitter on October 27, 2022, after acquiring the social media company for $44 billion. October 27th, date numerology in double digits equals 10 plus 27 plus 20 plus 22 is 79. Remember, it's the 79th year since the Bretton Woods Conference. Was this purchase of Twitter just predictive programming? If we were decoding it at the time and paying attention to this esoteric stuff just by looking at the code, we would have been able to determine the 79 number would be huge this year. But we've known about this for a while. I've been talking about this number on our channel for a very long time now, going back specifically to what happened with Metaverse when they switched from Facebook to Meta, and then we had the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukraine equals 79 in Gematria and also 22 in Chaldean Gematria. I knew that symbolism behind Ukraine with the Neptunian Poseidon trident and that gold blue theme, that is very important that we were paying attention to all that stuff and how it was going to play out, especially with how that Super Bowl went that year. So if you're brand new to my work, this might be a little confusing for you, but I decoded Super Bowl 56 and how it was all tied into the Rams defeating the Tiger. The Tiger symbolism was tied to Metaverse, Jupiter. We had that whole year of the Tiger. It was very negative on the markets. Then once we got out of the year of the Tiger, moved into the year of the Rabbit, where we see the Kansas City Chiefs win, we've been watching the market do very well since. So it shows you how these big sporting events even play into this code. And hopefully what I'm showing you right now with this Twitter information and recently becoming X Corp shows you how important this stuff is as a decoder for you to be able to determine future events. So why is Elon changing Twitter Inc. to X Corp? Now, allegedly, to move one step closer to the everything app. It just makes me laugh when I read this kind of stuff, but we're in clown world, aren't we? Anywho, it's to move one step closer to this thing called everything app, similar to China's WeChat. Now, if you look at the code, we have WeChat equals 24 in Chaldean. X is the 24th letter in the English alphabet. We know that the Greek alphabet has 24 letters. That 24th letter is omega, the end. 24 is just 2 4s. 2 4s is 44. It's all 4s with this guy, okay? So the X is important. This X can also symbolize 4 points. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a very basic thing that might get overlooked. And of course I have here is the Jupiter symbol, the zodiac logo, straight up 24. We have 24 hours in a day. This is ruled by Horus Set. Horus the daylight, Set the night, Set being chaos. And then in the daylight we have order, right? So this is all very important, and I believe this guy Elon is very important for this new age. It's clear as day. He loves this X. First big company he had was X.com, which became PayPal. Then he has SpaceX, plenty of things with X. He named his last child X, and now here he is converting Twitter Inc. to X Corp. It's pretty obvious. So my theory behind this chess move from Elon, and I don't think it's Elon doing this, by the way. I believe he has a handler. Somebody's telling him what he needs to do, and you need to pay attention to this right now because this is very revealing. This is big stuff, what I'm sharing. This is part of the normalization phase from the user-consumer of social media platforms to utilize a social media app for mobile payments. Through convenience, popularity, social pressure, and ultimately by force of the transition into this so-called new age, Aquarius. So I'll say that all again because it's very important that people absorb this. This Elon character and this whole move with Twitter and the everything app and where this is headed, this totalitarian tiptoe, this globalist, Bolshevik, Marxist essence that is moving into the Western world, this is all part of the normalization phase from the user-consumer of social media platforms to utilize a social media app for mobile payments. And it will be through convenience. We know that. It is very popular. Through social pressure, we know that element, because if you don't have an Instagram or you don't have a TikTok or you don't have a whatever, you feel that social pressure sometimes. And that will ultimately make you want to make that decision to play the game. So the by force concept would be if they just change the system beneath your feet. And we saw this happen with the removal of payphones and everyone taking on cell phones and removal of landlines, essentially. We moved into that new world. So this is part of it, and when I say by force, I don't mean literally like a military is going to come, into your town. I don't mean it that way, but this is the groundwork being laid out that will get it to that phase. Unfortunately, we're not about spreading fear here. This is just pure truth. So according to Yuri Bezmenov, he exposed the 4-step framework of something called ideological subversion. You could go watch this on YouTube. It's fascinating. He explains this ideological subversion on a national scale is practiced by the globalists with great success. He says KGB, but KGB is CIA. It's all the same. It's all blood royalty. It's royal bloodline. They are the so-called globalists. Again, if you don't like that word, get over yourself. We're teaching here to examine the concept that it is not isolated countries that are so-called powerful or at war with each other. It's that there are a royal elite network, and they utilize the masses and anyone outside of that bloodline as sacrifice. That's really how it's going. It's not China against Russia or Russia against Brazil or Brazil. That's not how it works. The leadership of Brazil, China, Russia, Australia, United States of America, London are all playing on the same team. Okay? So this is very important that we talk about this 4-step framework. 1 will be demoralization, 2 will be destabilization, 3 will be crisis, 4 is normalization, and most of Europe, Canada, USA, New Zealand, Australia have not moved fully through step 2, which is called destabilization, but they're all in the process of this phase. Also, excuse if there's any background noise. There's somebody doing construction next door. So this is important to note, that most of the so-called civilized world is not fully through step 2, this destabilization phase. And as for usage of devices, the parts of the world I just listed above right here are in the normalization phase when it comes to utilizing devices. Everyone has one. It's like a vital organ of man now. If you leave your house without your cell phone, you feel naked. You feel what I'm saying here? So it's obvious that we're past that normalization phase. when it comes to having these devices, and specifically mobile payments, payment apps, and things like touch to pay or tap to pay. But overall, we still have physical cash in the system. So this is one of the key points to this. And this is what we're transitioning out of. We're transitioning out of the physical cash system and into something called central bank digital currencies. We will need to finalize step 2, destabilization phase, with a crisis to push this agenda into practice. This is typical Hegelian, problem, reaction, solution, ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. So I can personally see this crisis event happening in isolation, meaning select countries, perhaps one at a time or a couple at a time, like dominoes falling, between May of 2023, which is coming up just next month, and May of 2024, with emphasis specifically in October of 2023 for a big event, and a second event on specifically April 15th of 2023. And I'll get to all of that more in future decodes. But for now, next month, and I shared the May 19th event through May 22nd event in my last decode, Sell in May and Go Away. So rewatch that if you'd like to know more. And this is not me saying that the whole world will have a global event in May, but this will be the kickoff point, kind of the domino effect. As this March 10th of 2023, we had what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. That was definitely the start of the dominoes falling. So final thoughts, and we're going to wrap this one up. I do not think the US dollar will lose its world reserve status this year, although I do expect other major currencies to get weaker. The euro, Japanese yen, pound sterling, Canadian dollar, which will make up the basket that the DXY is weighted in. So that's important to consider. We know inflation is inevitable, especially after the Fed's historic printing in 2020 through 2021. So I do not see any threat to the US dollar during 2024 either, but 2025 is another story, and we'll cross that bridge later. We'll be talking about BRICS in a future decode. But I stick to my sentiment that the US dollar is the cleanest dirty laundry. It's still dirty, still stinks, but it's the cleanest dirty laundry. I'm not picking sides here. I'm just a decoder. I'm staying neutral in the process. This has nothing to do with duality consciousness. This is just the red pill. But after putting together this decode, it's really making me think something will happen specifically regarding currency this July of 2023. Again, the whole decode today, I exposed the reasons why, the connections to the Bretton Woods conference 79 years ago and the Nixon shock in August. And I recently shared my gold decode in Red Pill Podcast 106 with TA on gold as well. So I shared my technical analysis and the next upside target I anticipate for gold, showing a bullish move to around $2,400 per ounce by 2024. Of course, this is just spot prices. Take this for what you will, but the TA is pretty clear that there's a move heading up to about 2,400 sometime in 2024. It could even happen by the end of 2023, depending on how this all plays out. Therefore, gold and precious metals could be a more sophisticated solution for investors to consider in their overall wealth plan. Again, this is not financial advice, but this is even more important for those who are around the world following this work that do not transact or earn in US dollars. And what I mean by that is this concept of gold. You might want to be considering that as part of your wealth plan. Again, not financial advice. So consider this a part 2 of my Sell in May and Go Away Decoded. So far, I don't have a great feeling about July, as I've shared in this decode. July 3rd is a full moon. Typically around full moons, we have a bearish energy. I anticipate all of July through November 2023 to be a bearish energy in this market. I was motivated to make this decode to attempt to find flaws in the Sell in May and Go Away Decoded and that analysis. And with both past iterations of Bitcoin's automatic rally phases ending in June, I was influenced to investigate further. With the June full moon being on June 3rd and the May new moon being on May 19th, that could be the window to see this bullish energy come to a conclusion if it extends past the eclipses. So that means if Bitcoin and the crypto market continue to extend out higher than May 5th, past that lunar eclipse, this would be the window of time that I would anticipate us to kind of finish off that automatic rally. So this is very important. You pay attention to this. We'll need to check in with price action as that time comes in the charts as the days progress, of course. This isn't just all about decoding. There's an element of doing TA. So stick along with my Red Pill podcasts as we go. And just use all of what I'm sharing today as a preparation, just to keep you guys prepared. So in my Red Pill podcast number 106, I shared how if we take the average of June 2016 and June 2019 Bitcoin performance, that gives us a window of time to consider between June 12th and June 26th of this year. June 18th is the new moon in June, and in both cycles, we did not top out that close to a new moon. So we can't really bank on that for accuracy this time around. But if we go off of full moons, this makes our window June 1st through June 12th. This makes me more open-minded to how June could be the final push up for this automatic rally, as I've shared a couple of times in my recent work. So the June full moon actually might have a little more accuracy for timing this play. Here we are looking at those charts from this past cycle, 2013 through 2016. And then we have this moment right here, 2017, over here through 2020. Bitcoin was bearish into July and August in the past two iterations of automatic rally cycles. So if you look at this blue arrow and the red circle, that would be the finality of the automatic rally. And this was pushing into August. So this presentation backs up the thesis for negative energy in the markets during July. Now, the month of June was our anomaly. So I'm still feeling that within the month of May, around May 17th through 19th, we will have something happen on the world stage. And this event might be aimed at the economy and banking system, but it could even bode well for Bitcoin and crypto, as we saw happen after March 10th. When people start to feel like the traditional banking system is not reliable and kind of a scam, it actually bodes well for Bitcoin if you think about it from that perspective. Even when we're talking as exoteric as it gets, like people on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So we think if there's banking problems, most younger generations look to Bitcoin as the solution. That's why I'm throwing this idea out there. So remember, in both 2017 and 2019 cycles, Bitcoin went up 80% in a month to finish off those automatic rallies. So I'm talking about right here at the finality of this phase, Bitcoin within 20 to 30 days pushed up 80%. So a lot can happen in 20 to 30 days in the crypto market. You guys know that. 20 to 30 days after the May new moon puts us into June 6th through June 16th. Again, kind of us just playing around with the numbers and trying to narrow this down more. So regardless of how this plays out, as a technical analyst, it is up to me to review the charts and design my exit strategy accordingly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to do what is best for you, your family, your investment thesis and wealth plan. I'll be here to help you I'll be here to update you on my moves every step of the way. You guys know that. I reveal exactly when I am doing any de-risking or buying any cryptos. I share that openly in the Discord. So you can just follow along there if you're interested, but do not use that as signals. Don't use that to make your decisions. I want you to utilize the skills of technical analysis for your own benefit and for you to develop your own investment thesis. But as of today, with Bitcoin breaking out above 30,000, this is a big signal, and it confirms the automatic rally thesis was in fact solid analysis. We're about 8 days out from the solar eclipse when I'm filming this today. We have a little over 3 weeks until May 5th lunar eclipse, and we could definitely see Bitcoin break into 40K rapidly during this phase. So this is the moment we've been waiting for. I've prepared everyone here to expect this move to happen in the markets almost half a year before it happened, and here we are. So let's continue to work together in the community. No blame game. no victim mentality, take personal responsibility for your finances, and ask questions in our Discord. The members are here to help. And let's enjoy the rest of this automatic rally. So enjoy the ride, wolves. Feel free to subscribe to my website for updates at WatersAbove.com. It's completely for free. And follow along on Twitter and Instagram. Same handle, WatersAbove without the O. Much love. I appreciate every single one of you. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day.